Hey guys, it's Rima Saragaki here, and in today's video it's going to be a tutorial on how to make an Outlaw belt from Fire Emblem Fates. If you're cosplaying Niles, Nina, or Anna, this belt will definitely suit your needs. Some of this tutorial is going to be a talk through, and then the others are legit going to be a tutorial because I kind of already made the base mold of the base of this before I decided that I was going to make a tutorial. So yeah. Okay guys, just another note before I start with this tutorial. If you end up wanting to buy your own adventure Outlaw belt instead of making them, you can always purchase them online at Dangerous Ladies Store Envy. It's dangerousladies.storeenvy.com. I really love their work, and honestly their Outlaw belts are pretty decently priced, and especially because they're casted all from resin. So if you don't want to make your own, check them out. I swear you won't be disappointed. Their stuff is so clean. And with that note, let's head on over to the tutorial. Since an Outlaw belt consists of multiple of these shapes, I thought it would be best if you just make a base and then make a mold out of this base. So in order to make the base, I used about 80% of one of these Fimo blocks, so I left like 2 rows. I just estimated 80%. I don't know if that's the exact math. But to make the base part, I just used up that much, and I molded it into a dome-ish shape. I'm using oven baked clay, and you can just use any brand that you guys have. You can use air dry clay too, but TBH, oven baked clay is just so much faster instead of waiting it to dry. So demonstrating how I made the shape on a smaller piece of clay, I just condition it and then roll it into a ball, place it on a flat surface, and you want to protect the surface you're working on because polymer clay does have a tendency to release oil. Personally, I like the dome shape better on the adventurer belt. Some people have done it flat, and if you want to do it flat, do whatever you want with it. And then when you have your desired width, then you can stop there. So yeah, here's like a smaller version of my larger dome. Now that you have your shape, you can either pre-bake it so that this is hard before you try doing this detailing on it, or you can just slap it on. So in order to make the flowery design on top, what I did was roll a piece of clay into a thin pancake and use a ballpoint pen and just gently sketch the design you want on there. You can make the flower more pointed, less pointed, honestly, it's up to you. So I just roughly marked the center point and then just slowly sketch out however many petals you want. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, wait, 12 little petals. So yeah, start with the edges and then roughly sketch it out. And the one thing I thought about just now to maintain the evenness of all the petals, to make them an equal length, is draw a circle around, take the center point, and draw an even circle around how large you want the flower to be, and make sure each petal hits that point so you have even spacing. For mine, I had to stretch it out a little bit. No big deal, clay is flexible. But after you have drawn it like this, you can either take an X-Acto knife or a razor blade, but I have a little razor blade here, and what you want to do, carve around this shape. I'm too lazy to cut out a tiny version of the flower, so let's just pretend this is the petal. And what you do is you just lay it in the center, and then there we go. So after you lay your petals down, you might realize that it's a little uneven. You can stretch the flowers out a little bit and use your razor blade to trim down some petals if you want. Mine isn't completely symmetrical, but with a decent paint coat, I think it would look fine. Don't forget your center right here. And yeah, you can put it on before baking. I did it separately for personal reasons, but you can tack it down and then stick it in the oven, bake it according to your clay packaging, and there is our negative for our mold. So as for molds, this one is my favorite version because it is super simple to use and it's not messy at all. You just take the two mediums, which are solid, and you mix them together, and there we go. And then there's your mold. Slap it on and it's ready to use in about 30 minutes to an hour, which is amazing. But since this is a fairly large piece, it is the size of my palm, at least the size I made it. You can make it smaller. Umu or some type of liquid silicone mold might be better because they come in larger containers. And with the larger containers, you might not have to use as much product comparatively to this one. Or compared to that one. I don't even know what I just said. I used most of this Umu for my Elise gem, so I have like very little left. I might just end up using the amazing mold putty, so yeah, I'm going to be using this one for this tutorial. Protect your surface with this too because it's kind of oily and greasy, but make sure you want to mix 2 equal parts of this mold. You don't have to make a mold, but it would make life a little bit easier since you want to make multiple of the same items. My idea is that if you're going to make multiple copies, it's better to have a mold so you don't have to make them all look the same. Oh my gosh, it's sticking to this paper. Of course, there are cheaper alternatives for molds. You can look them up on YouTube. I believe there's hot glue molds and like, you know, other stuff like that. Since I have this, why not? And I've grown accustomed to using this. So I hope this is enough to cover both of this. I mean, this whole thing. If it's not, then you know what? I'm just gonna grab a little bit more so I don't embarrass myself. Oh no, why'd I put them down? I think they're about the same size, so then once you do that, quickly mix it together thoroughly. I'm gonna do this off camera. And the thing with this one is you want to work fast since it actually sets in 15 minutes. It's just safer to use it like 30 minutes to an hour after you're done mixing it. So after this, you just roll it into a ball, and then what you want to do is just stick it down. I'm going to do this off camera too. It's a little easier. Okay, so I pressed it down off camera. There are a bunch of videos where you can... Oh my god, why do I do this? Why do I do this to myself? Okay, paper usually doesn't do this. This is from my old chemistry lab book, so the paper is a little different. Normal printer paper is fine. I've never had it stick to normal printer paper, so if you're using that to line it, that's fine. Use parchment paper, that's even better because nothing sticks to that. Yeah, I did it all off camera, but you just press the shape you want into the putty. It's not really that hard. So yeah, gonna wait about 15 minutes before I demold this, and I'll be right back. So here's the mold of the piece. I messed up a little bit, as you can see here, and I tried to fix it. Didn't work out, but you can always fix your final product with a little bit of sanding. As in, you can either resin cast something in here or stick clay in here, and then once you pop out the piece, just sand it down a little bit. Easy as pie. Dang, that was cheesy. For me personally, I'm going to resin cast it, and if you want to know more about resin casting, you can watch my previous videos. There's two, one where I actually show mixing and one that just explains the theories behind it, so I'll link those down below and around here. So instead of resin casting, you could always use polymer clay, which is what I'm going to demonstrate right now. And then you can also try air dry clay too, honestly. So condition the clay like always. I personally like rolling it into a ball before pressing it in. I know this is super tiny, but I think it'll get the point across. So I'm just going to squish it into an edge right here to show you how clay picks up details. It's really nice. If you do use the polymer clay route, I would count how many medallions you want, and that would be the number of polymer clay blocks you want, since these are fairly tiny. For air dry clay, since they come in bigger bags, you might get away with buying like 1 or 2 bags, but you know. So right here, I'm just gonna peel it out, and you see how the polymer clay picks up all the details. And as you can see, it kind of has the little bumps from my mold, but you can always sand it down after you are done, or smooth it down with your finger right now. That's the amazing thing with polymer clay, is that even before baking you can get rid of unwanted details by just gently pushing it down. With resin, you have to sand it. With this clay option, you have a few different ways to connect each medallion together. My favorite is using eye pins, and what you do is while the clay is, as you already poked a hole in here, but when the clay is still non-baked or pliable, malleable, you just stick the eye pin in and then let it dry or bake it. And it might need some reinforcing, so you just pull it back out, add some glue, and stick it in, and it should be in there for a decent amount of time. And then in order to connect each medallion together with the eye pins, what you do is you take a jump ring. It just comes in a little, it's literally a ring, and you pull them apart, loop them together, close them back together, and you have 2 connecting medallions. Alternatively, you can also buy jewelry bails, and they come with flat backs, so what you would do is once it's done, you just glue it on the back, and there you go. You connect them the same way using jump rings. I believe they're small enough to fit jump rings. And then for final closures at the last medallion, you can buy some jewelry chain if you want, if you only want medallions on the front and then nothing in the back, because I mean it's on the back, no one really looks at that, and then just connect everything and then lobster clasp it together. Or you can make all the medallions go all the way around and still take the lobster clasp and close it together. With resin, you can still use eye pins, but it's not as easy. The easier route for resin would be bails, because after you're done casting it, you would just have to glue it on. With resin, if you want to insert eye pins, you would either need to buy screw-on eye pins, which are a pain in the butt to screw in, or you would need to put eye pins on the back and then dome the resin. And all these terms I'm talking about, I've talked about in my resin casting video, so if you're a little confused, go ahead and watch that. A lot of shameless plugs in here about one video. Okay guys, so here's my resin casted adventure medallion. All this needs now are bails and a couple more to link into an adventure belt. And then if you find any imperfections after resin casting or doing clay, just sand it out as I said before, and then give it a nice paint, and there you go. Okay guys, so this is going to be it for my tutorial. It wasn't as much of a tutorial as I would have liked it to be, because I already started on part of it, and then other parts I actually don't have, so it's not really a tutorial. But I hope my explanation was enough to help guide you to making your own adventure belt. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to leave them down below. As always, feel free to subscribe for more videos like this. If you have any other recommendations for videos, leave them down below. I'll check them out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video, and bye!